Are you good to go, Reg?
Greetings, Delray Beach. I want to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's an external meeting of the SET Neighborhood Alliance, end of the year educational information and stewardship meeting. We have the pleasure of bringing these meetings to the public on a bi-monthly basis for several years now. The meetings are geared towards giving out information about what's going on in the set, what we have to essentially look forward to, some of our issues, our hurdles. We look at policy prescriptions. We look at equity. We talk about community organizing. We take a look at the electoral process. So we want to come to you tonight and look at 2022 in review to talk about some of our accomplishments. There is really so much. 2022 it's been very exciting with the coalition. You hear from some of our members how the coalition has progressed along with the SET Neighborhood Alliance, the reemergence of the South County NAACP as it has its historical presence in Delray Beach, the reemergence of the Delray Beach Voters Leagues with its grounding in history in Delray Beach, and just all the wonderful events that has taken place pretty much with the intent of fully operationalizing the SET transformation plan in Delray Beach. It is a community-led plan, and our partners, our friends, our neighboring communities across Delray Beach really works with us and know how special it is to be a part of authentic community engagement and leadership in Delray Beach. So we have a pleasure of bringing this end of the year meeting. Without any further ado, again, my name is Reginald Cox. I have the pleasure of serving as co-chair of the SET Neighborhood Alliance in Delray Beach. And so at this time, is Mr. Weatherspoon available? Okay, Mr. Weatherspoon. At this time, in our tradition, while we're waiting for some of our folk to come on, not to delay, I'm going to go ahead and give the invocation for this meeting. Father God, we ask you to look upon us and as we coordinate and solicit for authentic community engagement and stewardship in Delray Beach. We ask that you come into our minds, our hearts, our spirits, and bring us wisdom to make the best decisions for our families, for our community at large, for our culture, and for all things that will lead us in the path that you would want us to go. We thank you so much for the blessings that we received over the last year and the blessings that we are destined to receive in the future. We know that you are too wise to make a mistake. We pray for wisdom. We pray for love. We pray for a quality of life that we all deserve. These words we pray in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, at this time, we're going to turn the meeting over to Ann Stacy Wright, who is the president of the Carver Park Neighborhood Association and also the co-chair of the coalition. Hi, Ann.
Hi, everybody. The correction, I am co-chair of the Carver Park Neighborhood Association, along with Ms. Darcia Hill. Okay.
My apologies. Yes, my apologies. I know we're growing.
Oh yeah, we are definitely growing. Mr. Cox has already, I think, have welcomed everyone in. And again, for our 2022 year-end meeting, we've had some great things going on in our communities. We are continuing to do great things in our community. But let me tell you a little bit about how we work in our community. The Set Neighborhood Alliance is a civic organization, is a civic association of the subdivided blocks that make up the Set Neighborhood. Established in 1997. Remember that year, 1997. The Alliance focuses on civic engagement, resident leadership, development, voting, and voter engagement, community education, and public policies to support the SET and the vision for the community as identified in the SET transformation plan. The chairs are Reggie Cox, who you know, and Morris Costarfin. Talk about the coalition. The coalition is a table of engaged strategic partners working together to implement the SET transformation plan projects and initiatives and visions. The mission of the coalition is to advance redevelopment to improve the economic, social, and cultural future of the West Atlantic community. The chair is Chuck Ridley with the support of Thrive. The SET Neighborhood Plan is a community-led, and I say that again, is a community-led and informed refacing and updating of planning documents covering over 30 years of neighborhood improvement plans for the SET. And it uplifts the community's vision. The SET shall become a place of opportunity, inclusion, and wellness through equitable policies and development, strategic partnerships, and the power of the community leadership. Now, Mr. Cox, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ann, for that education and introduction. Again, I want to extend an introduction to all our presidents and block captains of our 28 neighborhood associations in the SET, which represents 1,000 acres. Ann gave you the brief history. Also, we would like the public to know that they always can go to our website to gain more detailed information. That's www.thesetdelray.org. www.thesetdelray.org. It's a plethora of information there where you can see how we are organized, and also, more importantly, see how you can, ways that you can get involved with the Alliance to help us operationalize the SET transformation plan. As Ann stated, it is a plan that rolls up plans, redevelopment plans for our area over the last 30 years. And it is actually it's time for it to be updated again. And we want everyone to be familiar with that plan, because if you don't have a plan, then as the old saying goes, you plan to fail. And we certainly have that in Delray Beach. And so these broadcasts are part of our civic steward duty and volunteerism to bring this information to the public, with hope that further engagement and dialogue can take place, because we do know that Delray is a special place. At this time, I want to hear specifically from some presidents and block captains that have joined the broadcast tonight. And, I want to hear about, what makes Delray a special place. What sense of community do you essentially have in the SET? How long maybe have your family lived in the SET, generations? And is the SET's legacy worth preserving? I do want to hear from block captains and presidents at this time who have joined us at this end of the year wrap-up meeting for the Alliance. So, Sean, if we can go ahead and let in some of our block captain. We can start off with George Williams and
All right.
Lonnie Williams.
Yes.
How you doing, George?
Okay, thank you. This is George and Lottie Williams. We're the president of the West Sellers District. Both our families been in Delray, born and raised here. Lottie and myself. Our families come from Georgia, Fort Valley, Georgia, and Quincy, Florida. We've lived here for more than 7 decades, and we've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. One of the things that I'm most proud of in regards to the set is the fact that the set helped define who we are. There was a time early on where others often defined us and basically told us who we were, but since the set come on board, things have really changed and moved for the better. I'm so proud of that. Some of the components under the set, the legacy program, the education of business development, job opportunities, all of those things have really changed and moved forward in the set, and I'm so proud of that. We've, as presidents, we've gotten together with some of our neighbors throughout the neighborhood, keeping them informed, getting informed of issues that are taking place. And it's been a very productive year, especially the last year, been very productive as far as we're concerned. And it's certainly a blessing, by the way, to be a part of this. I've always been engaged in the community throughout my lifetime, but I think this is the best engagement. I have to give credit where credit is due. This is the best engagement because it's informative. It keeps you up to date as well as keep you on your toes. Thank you.
Thank you, George. And as you heard it, you are George and Lottie Williams, president of the West Settlers Neighborhood Association within the set. Do we have Gateway's president? Is Gateway's president in the studio, Sean? We do want to hear from Mr. Weatherspoon if he's available tonight, and if not, we'll I'll give you a minute to let Mr. Weatherspoon in if he's with us. Gateway is a very active neighborhood association in our district, and we do want to hear from Mr. Weatherspoon if he's on tonight.
Mr. Weatherspoon is not here.
He's not here tonight. Okay. All right, Sean, go ahead and let's hear from some more of our presidents and block captains about their involvement with the Alliance and the importance of a strong sense of community. Go ahead and let our next president and block captain in.
Do you have one specifically you want to talk to?
Let's hear from Miss Ernestine Holiday. I think everybody knows her, and we enjoy hearing from Miss Holiday. How you doing, Miss Holiday?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I am the president of Westside Heights Neighborhood Association. I was not born in Delray, but I've been in Delray since 1947. So I've done all my schooling in Delray. I am so proud of the set for the progress that we've made, as George said before, of the progress with the Legacy Home Program, with the Set Transformation Program, and with the Alliance and the Coalition and Thrive in general. We have seen much improvement in what we are trying to do. It's a hard struggle because now that everybody wants a piece of the pie, they want to push us, continue trying to push us out. Because think about it. There was a time, not 50 years ago, along Atlantic Avenue, there was nobody that look like us won't even slow down on Atlantic Avenue. Now everybody wants to take a slow drive down Atlantic Avenue and view the northwest and southwest section. And every time you pick up your phone, somebody's trying to buy your land. I'm proud of my land. I don't want my land to go to no one but someone in my family. And if everybody in the set, period, northwest or southwest, think about it. There was a time when you couldn't live nowhere but in this section. And you would see people of color, other races in our neighborhood, unless they were Spanish. But now, you don't even know sometimes who your next door neighbor is. One day it's a black neighborhood, and next day it's a mixed neighborhood. We want to continue trying to preserve our property, not give it away, not sell it away. If they want to buy your ugly house, tell them to take the ugly house and leave your land there. Because that is the kind of telephone calls we're getting. We are proud of our neighborhood. We want to continue to improve our neighborhood and make something that we all will be proud of.
Thank you, Ms. Holiday. We appreciate those comments. And, you know, you do make a good point. As our neighborhood transforms, we do want to be a part, as like we say, the newfound wealth. That's what the plan is all about.
Well, I've only owned my property since 1964, and I bought it to keep it, not to give it away.
That's right. So, Ms. Holiday, thank you for those comments. And as our neighborhood continues to transform, you know, we want to be a part of the newfound wealth. And I know that when we get the coalition report, we're going to talk about that, those projects, and how we can be a part of the newfound wealth and not pushed to the side. That's what the plan is all about. And we do want our neighbors to get familiar with the plan so we can learn about how we can use collective impact to come together to achieve prosperity at scale at the neighborhood level. With that said, I want to go ahead and hear from Montre Bennett over in the Northwest Community Improvement District to give his thoughts and comments on his work and as far as our ladder of engagement responsibilities as far as presidents and block captains. Montre?
Good morning, good evening. My name is Montre. I've been a resident of Derry my whole life. That's it. My family's been in Derry since the late 50s, the early 60s. My grandma lives in Derry Beach Heights, which I'm the president of Derry Beach Heights, but I'm also the I'm a block captain in Northwest Community Improvement. And my grandfather was a business owner here in Derry Beach for many years. He was he owned the auto body shop. We barely have an auto body shop nowadays that's black owned in Derry. I wish I'd have took that mantle. But yeah, as a block captain, as president, you can see me knocking on doors. You can see me working for the polling, for the politics, for voting. We got to get out and vote. And we got to follow through with the work of the community. Capacity building, civic stewardship, community wealth building, a healthy community placemaking, and strategic investments. Basically advocating for policies that's going to benefit the people and actually getting out here doing the work so that we can see what we are doing to come to life. Building houses, getting sustainable houses for the people who are already living in their house, making sure their house is livable, creating jobs, creating wealth off the land. The value is the land. Is one other thing I wanted to say, but I can't find it. It was about the heart. The heart is equal to the land. The land is equal to the heart. We got to love it all. Without it, it is no set. There is no coalition. It is no us.
Thank you for those comments, Monterey. We appreciate that. And, I definitely do agree with you. Without a collective impact and without a coalition, there is no us. And that is vitally important on why we established the SET transformation plan and talked about the principles. You mentioned some of the principles. Community capacity building is right there as far as your collective impact is concerned and the coalition is concerned. Civic stewardship, community stewardship, which we're doing tonight. That's another one of our principles. Community wealth building. It's right there is what we need to be doing, so we can be around Delray for generations to come. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and call Virginia Brooks. Is Virginia Brooks, the president of Paradise Heights? Is Virginia on?
I don't see Virginia on.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Do we have Janice Hill on tonight?
I don't see Janice Hill anymore. No. She wasn't earlier, but
all right. So if you have folk that you see, we go ahead and let the next person in who hasn't spoken yet. That'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I guess we're looking at Andrea or Miss Odom.
So let's hear from Miss Odom. I want to hear from Miss Odom anyway.
Well, can you
Miss
guys
Odom,
hear me?
Miss Odom, let me. I know I had you talking about under the coalition with the projects, but Miss Odom, I do want to hear. I want to take some time. We can talk about that. Bring you back in on that part as well, because I know you with the CDC, one of the coalition partners, and I know you want to talk about all that great work that you're doing. But I do want to hear from you in particular, Ms. Odom, on your insight, because I know you're very, very engaged. I think that if we had a city commission all-time meeting attendance award, I think you'd be in the hunt. Okay,
in the hunt, yeah.
You'll be in the hunt, if not number one. And that's all I ask those guys on the golf course. They do a lot of talking out on the court, but I just want to be in the hunt the last couple of holes, because I know that's when.
Well, my hashtag is nosy. That's why I go. I don't want to hear anything secondhand.
Well, that's good trouble. So come on and let us know about Delray, your history in organizing the coalition. Just give us some of your thoughts. The intent here is, we do this, we sacrifice for this because number one, we know it's in our DNA, but we do want to bring folk into the work to let them know that, it is vital, okay, with the way our neighborhood is changing, that they get involved and help towards this advocacy, really helping themselves, okay? And I just want to hear your thoughts on, to that end.
Right.
In the set in general.
Okay, Reggie, I'm Yvonne Lee Odom. I've lived in Delray since I married my high school sweetheart. We moved at Carver Park, where my children, until we built this home that we're in now, which is over 40 years. Now, when we first tried to buy a lot out here, we couldn't even buy it because of the laws at that time. Subsequently, the laws changed. We were able to do it and we build. But the thing I want to focus in on Delray, and I really want Delray citizens to understand the importance of your involvement, Now, if you are upset about something Reggie said or Chuck said or did, don't take your ball and go home. And that's what's happening. People who come here have not lived here, then they take their own take, and then our narrative is dictated for us instead of we dictating our own narrative. And that's very important. As a young lady moving here, I didn't know they were heroes at the time, but my observation of all the community involvement sparked me. You know, my husband started in the league, that's over 50 years old. The coach with the Delray Rocks when the white parents didn't even want a black coach, and that's historic. And now look at what's happening. So I just would encourage everyone, please get involved, learn. If you don't know, ask somebody, but don't take your ball and go home. That's very important to me. But while I got the mic, now I can go ahead on and give my little short report, because let me tell you how I got involved with the coalition when it comes to the CDC. I had the pleasure of reading the SET transformation plan because I was on the committee that actually did the city's comprehension plan. Reggie and I were on that together. We were appointed by Mayor Glistine. And I watched individuals on that committee literally dismantle the SET name. They liked the work, but just the idea that they didn't like the name SET transformation because they didn't think of it. But one of the elements in that SET transformation plan was the establishment of a CDC. And when I saw that, I don't know if I called you, Reggie, or Chuck. I don't know which one I called. But I was like, hold up. We already have a CDC that's been doing work since 1992, where we work closely with the CRA, where the CRA would award us a lot. And they rotated the lots after the land trust and the habitat. We were the original, but we fell out of favor. I don't mind saying it. You have to ask those people what happened that we did, but that did not stop our work. One of the things I'm most proud of, well, several, the fact that several years ago, we were one of the nonprofit organizations with New Urban that developed Atlantic Grove. We were in litigation for over 10 years, but we stood the course, and now we're going to reap the benefits. TED Center, Delray Beach CDC, along with New Urban, were the builders of Atlantic Grove. And to me, that is a blueprint of how we can move forward when your nonprofits partner with your for-profit organizations. I just can't see it where somebody come here from New York or Canada, where they come from, and don't honor the legacy that's already here. And we don't want the whole pie. I tell them all of that. We don't want the whole pie, but we need to have equitable sharing of the profits, that it was illegal for us to buy anywhere, but it's what identified as a SET neighborhood. And as this story is told, more and more people need to understand, because we get new people from out of state all the time coming to Delray, not understanding the historic legacy that we have established. And I really appreciate you and Reggie and those young people like Mars who have taken on to try to inform. Those of us who've been around like Ernestine a long time, they know. And see, I remember even the CRA. There was a time when the establishment did not even want the CRA. Now they took it over. They took it over with no discussion, nothing. Just say, I'm taking your stuff. And we have to be very careful as a citizenry to make sure that we tell our own story, that we are part of the solution, that we work with these developers, and we just don't let developers have their way. And even our elected officials need to understand, we're not going to just let you have your way, but we need people to be engaged. You know how it used to be in Delray. Those of us who are my age, you're not that old that you don't remember how we have established a legacy here, but you can't take your ball and go home. And I just want to highlight three little things that we've done since I do have the mic recently with the Delray Beach CDC. Not the Atlantic Grove project, but you can go by Mount Olive and see those 14 units that are being built up there. And we have our 25% interest in that, along with the TED Center, and we partnered with the Boynton CDC. But currently, the powers that be did not want us to be involved, but we did it anyway. The Carver Square project, with those 20 homes, Delray CDC was instrumental through the lottery. We got 14 of those 20 homes that came through our pipeline. I'm very proud of that. And these were, we have a firefighter, we got teachers, we got people who grew up in Delray, and that's who's going to take those homes. And through our partnership with Pulte and their foundation, they have gifted us $20,000, and we will be giving each homeowner a gift of $1,000 that they can buy whatever they want for their house. And that's what I mean about partnerships. It's no big deal for Pulte to give $20,000, but it's a big deal for the individual homeowner to have $1,000 that they can buy. So I'm very proud of that one. Then partner with them again, we had a cookout that invited all 20 residents. And I think everybody showed up except one. And they got to know their neighbors. We put them in line, how their houses were lined up. And that was really a fun activity. I'm very proud of that. And we might make that an annual thing. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But I was very proud of that particular cookout. So those are the things that I want to highlight. Thrive, we're working with Thrive. We are the arm to work with the coalition to be the builder's partner. And I'm so proud that we did not have a come up with a new CDC, but that we make the one we have already viable. And one point I want to make here too, our CDC, all of our clients, all of them who purchase through our program, purchase the home and the land it sits on. Two of our original members sits on our board now. I'm very proud of that. So people can understand that when a young couple want a house, or a single person, somebody with a job, they want a house to live in. They are not buying a house so they can turn around and sell it for profit. And that's something we got to watch in Delray. You have a lot of investors with these rental properties. They're not for the best interest of a resident of a family, husband and wife with 2 kids and want to buy their own home. They're in there and they get all the benefits that the county want to give them. And then within 5 to 7 years, they're going to turn around and sell it. And then I'm going to give this one example and then I'll be done. I really appreciate this opportunity because I believe in education. That's something I learned from my daddy. When you know better, you do better. I have a girlfriend that we grew up together, sang in the junior choir. She rented her entire life. She worked for the school district her entire life and got retired. Now, when she retired, the house she was renting was sold and got beyond her means. She had to move out of the area. She moved to Orlando with her granddaughter, and she eventually passed away. And they had to live in a hotel because she no longer could afford the rent that she had been paying for all these years. Now, I say that for you all to be on alert for these rentals that's going up. Even the housing authority, there are other investors. Rent is going to be out of control. And then what happens to our schools? What happens to those families that we want to come back here and live? Your children can't even come back and live in Delray. They just can't. So I just want people who are on this call to just take a look at what's happening and then get involved. If you don't know, ask questions. It's so important to ask questions and get involved. We have an election coming up. We're going to be having forums, ask questions. So I thank you. Unless anybody have any questions, that concludes my report on behalf of the Delray Beach CDC and the board members. And we do have some board members that's on this call. And it's my pleasure. I have been on that board since its inception, when we had a community organizer came to Delray when I was teaching at Carver and said he wanted to organize the community to build houses. And my motto at that time, and still is, I want to build a house that I would want to live in, or I want my children to live in. And sometimes when we take things personal for us and our children, we look at things a little bit differently, and we don't always, try to make somebody do something that we wouldn't do for ourselves. So thank you very much. Unless anybody have any questions, Reggie, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Odom. That was an excellent report. Here again, this is Ms. Odom. This is one of my teachers, one of our community teachers, our community educators. Really for generation, it is a special place. Delray is a special place.
Yes, it is.
We have generational families, individuals, and caretakers, and overseers, mentors on the same call in 2022, concerned with our neighborhood. There's been some good teachings. There's been some good lessons for us to even care about what's going on in the world, to be doing this nowadays in Delray Beach, and we have it at scale. I mean, it metastasizes. We really have it. And so, when Mrs. Odom talks about the retribution and the intentional damage and blockage that the institution tries to do to our neighborhood, okay, to essentially cut us off at the knees everywhere we turn. When we've done everything that we're supposed to do, for example, they will tell you, listen to mommy and daddy. They will tell you, go to school. They will tell you to get your education. They will tell you to pursue a career. And then when it's time to get the business loan, and then when you speak up about some of the things that they tell you that doesn't match up with what's really going on, you're not that cute little child no more. Okay. And then the retribution pursues. So this is why all the beautiful things that she said about the legacy homes, the 14 units that they're doing with the CDC, Carver Square, my understanding is that the CDC and the coalition members were responsible for several of the paperwork and 14
out of 20.
So see, 14 out of 20 units.
Yes.
We want the public to really understand the depth of volunteerism, the depth of knowledge, the depth of sacrifice that your neighbors have, teachers, aunties, uncles, friends that have raised us, was involved with that project in helping those new homeowners acquire home ownership. We are, just like Ms. Odom say, we are putting out a call for advocacy, a call for help to come do this. If you receive one of those homes, just know that people in the background were working for you. And when we say community-led, that's what we need. That's what we mean, community-led. And we understand that the work has to be navigated in such a way, that people have to be okay. But we must stay in the game. If we're going to stay in Delray Beach for the next 100 years and generations to come, and establish pathways for our children, like the ones who paved the way for us, we have to get involved. The medicine is working. Don't let the institutions tell you it's not. When we say community-led, tonight's meeting is about what that means. We're going to bring up Janice Hill to share some thoughts with us as well. She's a co-president of the Carver Park Neighborhood Association. And she has on her yellow shirt too. Go ahead. You know what? Go ahead on. You got it. You had me at yellow.
Well, listen, I quickly changed because I saw a lot of yellows on the screen. So I quickly put on my yellow shirt, but proudly wear it. Good afternoon. I'm Janice D. Hill. My mother, unfortunately, my mother is not here this evening. She went to her sorority affair, so I didn't see her last night. Not seeing her much tonight. It looks like she's partying all week, but I'm sure some of the things that I'll share with you, she also would agree with. We moved here in 1964. My mother, two brothers, and I, and we moved in with my aunt and Uncle Carl and Libby Wesley. Stayed at Jefferson Manor. We stayed with them for several months until my mother bought her house here in Carver Park. And she's been here 50 plus years, and she's made a lot of tremendous repairs, and she's expanded the house. Carver Park, what can I say about Carver Park? Carver Park, when I was growing up, was a community where you knew your neighbors, neighbors would help out, and they would, we talked to one another. Unfortunately, we know as things change, we may not know our neighbors as we'd like to, but that's one of the things that we're trying to do in Carver Park to build a strong, friendly, healthy community. To speak of to speak of how I'm with the coalition, I joined the coalition in March earlier this year, and the people that are in this coalition have diverse thoughts, but everybody brings a wonderful skill set. And it is wonderful also working with a lot of nonprofits that definitely assist the residents, the people of Delray. I just so happened to have an opportunity to work in Carver Park with a group, Thrive, Habitat for Humanity, and also and Wells Fargo. It was Wells Fargo had a grant, and we identified 10 homes, and we painted those homes up in Carver Park. So after you paint a home up, and then you see other things that should be done, and this is kind of where my mindset and other residents' mindsets are for Carver Park. I can talk grassroots, and let's see what else about the coalition. What I like about the coalition is that because I'm really focused on a couple of things. That one of them is uplifting and beautifying a community, because we know if our house is worth X amount of dollars, thousands of dollars, $250,000, it can be easily worth $300,000 if we do a couple of things. That is, if you want to sell. But there are a couple of things that we can do to beautify our community, and we have to understand the value of our community, value of where we live, and the value of our land. And no one should be taking this from us. We should be able to, if you want to, love where you are, but also understand the value of where you stay. Another thing that I like about the coalition is that we're focused in on voting. You know, in some communities, you may not have the dollars, which we do have the dollars, but you may not think that you have the dollars, but you definitely have the votes. Voting is something that everybody in the city of Delray should be doing once you are at that certain age, and hopefully that's what you're doing too. But this is what the coalition strives for, making sure that we have registered voters and voters that are also participants. Because when you participate in voting, you can write your own ticket in many cases. Also, the coalition does a beautiful job with maintaining and retaining our rich cultural history here in Delray. And this is what we're doing now. We're talking about Delray, what Delray, the opportunities that Delray has presented to many people here. And so if someone has given you something, I say pay it forward, move it forward, pay it forward. And it seems like a lot of new homeowners in Carver Square will be paying it forward. And lastly, because Carver Park, I'm going to come back to Carver Park, because Carver Park is an older community. As you know, the first step in home ownership is buying the house. But the hardest part is repairing, is keeping it restored. And that's where the expenses come in. So I like the fact that this coalition focuses on repair and restore and the restoration of older homes. And they help people that may not have the finances to repair and restore their home. But I'm here in Carver Park. For anybody in the Carver Park area or nearby, if you have any questions about repair and restore, I definitely know the people that I can connect you with. Let's see. I think that's about all on my on my list here. But the coalition is a group of people, concerned people here in Delray that want to make sure that we know the value of the land that we live and the the value of ourselves through our vote. So, anything else, Mr. Cox? Would you like for me to add?
No, I think that was an excellent report on not only Carver Park, but the history you gave and also the valuable information you gave as far as the repair and restore projects and other initiatives going on. You know, as we can see once again, you know, to the public with our outcry to come help community build with us. There's a stronghold within our community. The stronghold, it's not by accident. The fact that we can have a dialogue on social media, in an external meeting in our community with our elders. Again, I'm going to stress the education and the mentors. Ms. Odom always say, keep educating, keep educating. I'm always going to remember that. She says, keep educating. And we have to educate outside of our school system into our community and beyond. And to that end, we do not leave our elders' wisdom behind. We do not leave those that paved the way wisdom. We do not set that aside. We must take a look at that because, in fact, they paved the way. And now we're going to hear from Mrs. Gloria Cheney to give us some reflections from her perspective, a reflection of history in the set. How you doing, Ms. Cheney? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm fine, thank you. And the group?
You got the flow.
Okay. I'm I'm Gloria Jones Cheney, born and raised in Delray Beach on Northwest 7th Avenue. Um, I had 5 sisters and brothers, and we all was born in the same house on the lot that's next door to me that the city had us to tear down for no reason. And in the year 2000, I always get mad about that. But I love Delray. I don't ever plan to leave. In a couple of months, I would have been here 80 years. Like I said, Ernestine Holiday and I were raised in the same block. We've been friends since about 6 or 7 years old. So she know, and I know that where we live was nothing but a dirt road. They decided to pave this road when they built the Achievement Center. But now we have a lot of traffic coming through here. What else can I say? I've never lived off of this street. I've always lived on Northwest 7th Avenue.
Hi everyone. I'm helping my mom. She's like, I don't know what to say. So my question to her is, you know, considering that she's a lifelong Delray Beach resident, what made her stay, and specifically stay here on 7th Avenue? I'm pretty sure she had opportunities to move around town as others did, but what drew you to remain here in Delray Beach and particularly on 7th Avenue?
Well, my grandparents, my mother's parents, they bought this whole block when they came from Barnesville, South Carolina, in 1914. My grandfather died in 1917, the same year that my mom was born. So my grandmother started selling off portions of the north end of this block to support her children. But she left enough land for her 4 children to have a place to live and build their home and for us to be born. The lot that I live on is next door to the lot where my grandparents' house was. So when you come down 7th and 3rd, that was in between 3rd and 7th and 8th. This whole block belonged to my grandfather and my grandmother, Mary and Ernest Hayes. So that's why all of us live in the same little area, because they saw fit to have land left for us. And my children, my sister and brother children, all of our families, the Cunningham kids, the McCain kids, they know that this land is not to ever, ever, ever be sold. It is in writing, and nobody outside of the Hayes family is going to purchase this land, because we do have enough children. If one of them want to build on it, fine. But no, it's not going any place. Even the grandchildren know we can't sell it. Nothing over here is for sale. So that's why I stayed. I'm the only one, but my sister Linda, we were the only 2 that stayed in Delray. The others, they moved around. But I like Delray, and I'll be here. And of course, Kenya lives across the street from me, so she's in this little block too.
I think that, first of all, I did not know that bit of history. You're talking about Delray history of 1914. And you know, Ms. Cheney, this is essentially, you know, approximately 50 years after the end of the Civil War. This is powerful history. You know, 49, 1868, 46 years, you know, after the citizenship, which was the 14th Amendment. This is the rich history of Delray. You know, to place it in that time slot And you mentioned your family purchased the whole block. And the best thing that I love about what you said, y'all ain't selling nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. And so, you know, as it's funny, and I say it all the time, and we're gonna turn it, see, we can talk about this all night. I'm not gonna do this right now because we're gonna hear from Chuck and the coalition. But this really speaks of, you know, that time in history, Red Summer, when the historians tell us what was going on all the way around the country with predominantly historic Black communities being burned and land being taken, systematically being taken during Red Summer, roughly in that era. That was in that era that was going on all around the country. You know, one of the most historic ones is in Florida. You know, you have Rosewood, and then you have Black Wall Street. You have in Ocoee, and there's just others about how land just was systematically taken. So for you all to be able to hold on to your family legacy through that land, and be able to continue to do that and show others and be an example for others to do that and make that land work for you and your generations to come. I think that's a beautiful history lesson. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight as we continue to build and rebuild and buy back the set. We want to continue to take those lessons for inspiration and motivation that we stay the course and we don't give up. As our neighborhood changes and transform, we want to change with it and be able to prosper with it as well. And like I say, we want to thank you, Ms. Chaney, for that beautiful history lesson. So with that said, we're going to keep this dialogue moving because we know the 12 Days of Christmas is going on with Cynthia Ridley. We want to give folks a chance to participate in that. And you know, in the 12 Days of Christmas is going all the way up on. It was a beautiful event last night. So with no further ado, I'm going to bring the coalition chair, Chuck Ridley, to the meeting. I know Ms. Odom spoke about some of the projects already, but I want the coalition chair to come and give us a update on the coalition and coalition partners. And then from after that, we're going to hear from Morris Christopher, my co-chair of the South Side of the Set Neighborhood Alliance. Can we bring Mr. Ridley, the chair of the coalition, on?
Mr. Ridley's on. He just needs to turn his camera on.
Turn your camera on, Mr. Ridley. Be in order.
So, am I unmuted as well?
Yes, you are. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, then. Thank you. First, it's not being in order. Is
nice shirt. Now I want to hear all that. Nice shirt.
Excuse me. I have the mic. Excuse me, sir. Whoever the technician is, would you please mute Mr. Cox?
I can do that myself. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for a wonderful year in terms of the work that we have done as the coalition. I've been really pleased to be the chair of some work that actually starts as the brainchild of Alfred Zach Strong, one of the best organizers this community has ever seen, who is now organizing with the ancestors. Come on, Billy, you want to tell everybody hi? My grandson has been trying to get here to tell you all hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Tell them you love them.
Love you.
You glad to be home? Okay. All right, let Papa do his report, okay? All right. So,
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? All right. As soon as I get through my report, I'll get you some food. So the as I was sharing, it is a privilege to actually be here serving in this capacity as the chair. And I want to real quickly give you an update on the things that haven't already been discussed. And I want to ground it. You've heard some of these terms, so I'm not going to go into detail, but I think it's important to ground it so that the community understands that this isn't just random work we're doing. This is really well thought out and strategic work. For those of you who may be hearing our work for the first time, those of you who've been around know that this is strategic. But for those of you who are hearing it, you've heard us use the word, the SET Transformation Plan. And the SET Transformation Plan is a citizen participation blueprint that was organically derived and is driven from the guts of this neighborhood. We are clear about a couple of things. When we started the organization that we call West Atlantic Redevelopment Coalition, we started it to protect this community from gentrification. And to the end of protecting the neighborhoods from the historic negative consequences, we have done that. Meaning that most of this neighborhood is still consists of the residents who found this neighborhood a historic Black community. And I don't shy away when I say historic Black community. Found it back in the turn of the century and are still here. You just heard from Miss Gloria Cheney that her family got here in 1914 and brought a complete block. I'm not going to go into it, but there's a whole history of why persons of African descent, whether they came in from places like South Carolina or came in from the Bahamas, they came here to get land and raise families and build community. And for the most part, we have protected that. And it was because of Zach being aware that no matter how you felt about somebody's home, whether you put a value on the house or not, that it was in that home that this community will build and thrive. And he encouraged us well over 30 years ago, don't sell, because they could see redevelopment coming. And the SET Transformation Plan was not derived from governmental institutions. It didn't come out of the belly of foundations. It came out of the belly of this community. And so the report that you are now going to hear is on the progress of how we are moving forward. As it relates to gentrification, we are not here to share with you that gentrification has not happened. There is no need to even use the word protect this neighborhood from gentrifying because it's too late. The neighborhood is gentrified. The question now is, how do we make sure that we are resilient? How do we make sure that we are here 50 years from now? And in that SET Transformation Plan, we put together strategies, tactics, and techniques to make sure we are here. So I'll report. One of the cornerstones of why a neighborhood gentrify is because of economic reasons. And they gentrify most often from organizations like the CRA. And the purpose of the CRA is to outright gentrify a neighborhood. And they've done that. The question now is, how do we leverage, how do we make a gentrified neighborhood work for us? How do we build wealth as a result of it? And there's a few ways that we've decided we would do it. First is home ownership. And so just like our ancestors, we want to make sure as many people can own a home that live in the historic neighborhood we call the SET. Ms. Odoms gave you the overview in terms of the projects she's working with, and one of them is the Carver Square project. And she shared with you through the work of the CDC, 70% of those homeowners who received a home came from the work of the coalition, where our members and members from the CDC board actively went out and pursued, and in some cases had to put people in headlocks and drag them through the process, but they got through the process. That's the good news. The bad news is that they got through the process in the middle of a recession, and in the with all the high prices that we got going on as a result of inflation and seeing the interest rates escalate, they still needed to navigate their way through it. Now, that's not coming from the governmental institution. the governmental institution don't care enough to make sure that the family is identified, can navigate their way through closing the property because it don't matter to them. It's not their families, as long as somebody purchased a home. Well, it's not that way with the CDC, and that's why that the work of the CDC is so important. They've helped many of those families lock in the interest rate at the lowest it's going to be for a while, because interest rates aren't coming down for some times. But the CDC anticipated that. And for those 14 families that we work with, they made sure most of them got their interest rate locked in. And they're still working with those families. It's not that you qualified. Now they got to get financed. They're walking them through the financing process. They're holding their hands much longer than any place else would. And then after they close, the CDC is still going to be there to hold their hands, to help them understand how to take their home and continue to have that wealth be built. The second way is what you also heard Ms. Ernestine and Ms. Odom talk about. And I'm just going to double down in that because it's so important. If we're going to maintain home ownership, the way we do it best at scale is through housing preservation. How do we make sure we have adequate resources in a neighborhood that's been redlined, in a neighborhood that the appraisers under-appraise our property so you don't see the equity build, in a neighborhood that the banks don't actually invest in this neighborhood because they really want to see the bottom fall out? How do you do that? Well, you do it with a set transformation plan and a team of activists, and then in this case, a nonprofit or two that will work with you. And we are working with homeowners right now to make that work, find the resources, and on the smaller scale stuff, we can help them do it. But here is the good news. The good news is that the local city government and the CRA actually have resources that could be invested in making sure that our homes don't become substandard. In fact, it is in the charter of the CRA that they will address substandard housing. That's the good news. The bad news is they won't do it unless we make them do it. And so that's the next phase. We're going to force CRA and the city of Delray to invest a significant amount more dollars into making sure that your home, while the land is gentrified, don't ignore it. The land is gentrified. So now let's make sure that your home is matching and it can maximize what you can see in the market. Then we're going to encourage you not to sell it, because your home then becomes your bank. We want you to embrace the mindset of a developer and leverage your property in this gentrified environment that others meant to displace us. We're going to take it and flip it on them and make gentrification work for us. And then the last piece is that some of you already have private land that you own, and relatives that you could want to place in it. And we would be honored if you would work with us to make this happen. So one of the people who is in that project is Ms. Ernestine. Now, here is the difference when you're working with a coalition and you're working with a government institution. The government institution will treat you like you are a recipient, like they have done you a favor, using the land and the conditions that our neighborhood has created. And as poverty pimps often do, they make you feel like they've done you a favor. No, that's not the approach coming from the coalition. Ms. Ernestine is not a recipient of a grant. Ms. Ernestine is an honoree that has given her life to this community, and this community now has found a way to ensure that she now has something that she can pass on to her children. It's being built on the lot that she and her husband purchased and worked hard to maintain. And it's now being passed from her to her heirs, so that they will have the resources to promote wealth, and is being built at cost. To purchase a home in that same block, she is able to build it for 50 cents on the dollar. 50 cents on the dollar. And Ms. Ernestine, we are so happy that we can place you and your family in a position where your work, your legacy is given the opportunity. That's your currency, right? That's your currency, Ms. Ernestine. What you have brought to this community is your currency. And we see you as an honoree. And there are others that we feel that the work of their family is the currency that they bring to the table. And we're going to make that currency work. And then lastly, around the advocacy, Ms. Odom's constantly point out to us the importance of making sure that you are a homeowner. But the truth is that there are many people that aren't. And the house and rent is just too damn high. And we live in a city that there aren't anyone who's looking at how do we protect those who, for whatever reason, must rent from the devastating impact of escalating housing prices. How does a tenant, because I could almost share with you, most, not all, but most tenants want to own a home. But how do they do that? And if they do have to live and rent, who's protecting them? Well, that's the coalition. And in fact, that's the Set Neighborhood Alliance. I said coalition, but the Set Neighborhood Alliance is a coalition partner that is working to make sure that those tenants are protected, that we are making sure that before they get evicted, that every opportunity to help them get access to the dollars they need to remain is achieved. And before they could be evicted, we are making sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. So if you are a renter and you are finding yourselves in some compromised or troubling situation, please get in touch with the coalition so we can help you navigate your way through whatever resources that are there, whether those resources come from the remains of dollars that comes from COVID or wherever else we can make that happen. We're here to do it. And then lastly, under the housing piece, is that a $200 million bond referendum got approved on November 8th, 2022. And I can share with you already, developers already have the big eyes for spending, and $200 million in that. While $200 million is a lot of money to me, it's not a whole lot of money in the arena of housing. And I can share with you that the developers are already chomping at the bits. The coalition will be working with groups like NAACP, Unified Palm Beach County, the Black Caucus, and others who are interested in making sure that Black people, folk who live in neighborhoods like the historic Set, are actively engaged in that work. And if you want to hear more about that, you'll hear more about that through the work of the Delray Beach Voter League. And then under the wealth umbrella, we also have work that we're doing because the other way other than housing to build wealth is by finding ways to increase your income. And most of that happens if you have a business. Small businesses is the other way that you get to increase your wealth and get to economic freedom. Right now, if you live in the Set, you are experiencing economic apartheid, and we're looking at how we change that. And we're doing that through the Peach Umbrella Network. And the signature program under the Peach Umbrella Network is the Blackman's Market. We utilize the Blackman's Market to build economic ecosystems for those who have gig businesses. There are many people who live in our community that work a full-time job doing the work hours. And on the weekends and in the evenings, they run their own separate business. But but they're usually left to their own devices. And we recognize that this is a tremendous opportunity. The one is to build voice for them. The other is to build capacity for them. And if Angela Burns is on, I'm going to ask her to give the Peach Umbrella Network report. Angela, are you on?
She is not with us tonight.
Okay, then that is a report. As it relates to the Blackmas market, maybe I'll also say that yesterday we had a special edition of the Blackmas market that was coupled with a 12 days of Christmas. And Ms. Burns, if you can hear me, I want to tell you that was a tremendous job you did in bringing together the vendors right as a part of a holiday celebration. That's exactly what we have to do. We have to create it. Nobody is coming to save us. And then the other big umbrella that the coalition worked with is under community stewardship. And you heard a lot of that from the Blackmas market. From the earlier reports. But under community stewardship, there are three things that I want to also lift up. One is, in order to do the work we got to do, we have to change the narrative. I started to talk about, as opposed to talking about what we're against, meaning protecting ourselves from gentrification. We're changing the narrative to how do we take gentrification and leverage it. And we're doing that by coming to you and collecting data. Data right now is collected by institutions. Many of these are racist institutions who have a narrative that will make you think that everybody in the set is poor, that will make you think that there aren't really strong families, which is very much a lie. The reason we fight for what we fight for is because of the wealth. And so we call it Stories from the Set, but the purpose is to really change the narrative in a way that we can begin to drive investment into our community. We can begin to identify the kinds of families we want to move here. We can begin to identify the kinds of supports we want for our children. We can begin to identify how we want the school system to work. And in fact, we've built a school district right here in Delray. We call it Village Academy, and it goes from 3 months old all the way through college. And I can share with you the institutions can't figure out Village Academy because they don't want to. They want to make Village Academy fit into a model that works for the institutions, not a model that works for our community. But we are working hard to make that happen. In fact, over the last since the beginning of the year, we have raised over $500,000. The coalition, an organization that 5 years ago had $5,000 in the bank, has raised now for that one project over $500,000 to change the village around and really move away from the oppressive types of school ideology that works on. Because if you go to any school that has high concentration of Black children, you can feel the oppression as you walk in. That's primarily because of the high stake testing and what they make poor children go through. And they use the word poor, but it's really the Black children that suffer from the oppressive nature in terms of the way schools are taught. We are inoculating the students in Village Academy from that, creating a small continuum so that they can feel the love, can begin to have the breath to breathe, so that they can thrive and go to great universities and institutions like Florida A&M. If they can't get into Florida A&M, we understand, and we'll allow them to go to other places. Maybe the second tier colleges like Harvard and Yale. But we are on it as it relates to Village Academy. Then the other place is that as we leverage the opportunities created through gentrification, is how we work with our small Black churches. With the small Black churches, we have created a network we call Faith Forward. And Faith Forward is where the community and Black churches in the set are now coming together as thought partners to figure out how will these communities be here a year from now? How will these churches be here a year from now? The community wants, 50 years from now. The community has every intention of being here 50 years from now. The small Black churches have every intention of being here 50 years from now. What do we have to do collectively to support each other to make sure that happens? In the pilot phase, there are 3 churches. One is St. Matthew's, one is Community Primitive Baptist Church. We typically call that the Weatherspoon Church. And then the last church is Ebenezer Methodist Church. And over the last year for those 3 churches and congregations, we've had the ability to raise over $600,000 to make this work. And we're just getting started in terms of how do we bring in resources. You've heard me mention earlier about creating our own narrative. Well, that's what we're doing. And we're doing that so we break the codependent relationships we have with these historic racist institutions like ACRA, like a City of Delray, like the school districts who typically don't see our community the way we see it, and we're not trying to explain it to them anymore. Either they jump on or get run the hell over. And then lastly, we are looking at how we are making sure we have livable wages. And that comes through the labor union SEIU that is working with people who are driving buses that live in Delray, folk who are working in the cafeteria that lives in Delray, folk that are working as secretaries and administrators that live in Delray, and folk who actually work in the city of Delray as blue collar workers. We're making sure that we're getting more than livable wages based on the job classification for those people who live here, and making sure that those persons have the kinds of governance or people champions on, whether it's the school board or the city commission, to make that work. And as I close out my report, the next step for this work is how do we really strengthen the collective? And that is that we really have to change our mindset. We have to create space that we can have many places for people to come in to this work that we're doing and heal. To live in America, given just how corrupt corporations and how corrupt the dominant ideology has been on those of us who identify as Black. The fact that we are still here is a testament to our resilience. But that resilience comes at a price. And so we are looking at how we heal ourselves, how we support ourselves, how we strengthen those relationships that we need to make this work. And so the next year, you're going to hear much more about how do we build out the collective so that we are making sure that you heard my grandson who came in because of the high rate of rent, had to spend 2 years outside of Delray. And he's here home. And so I am finished with my report, Reggie Cox, so I can take my grandson to get him something to eat.
Awesome. Tell little Black man I say, what up? Okay. We're now, thank you, Chuck, for that report. And, as our community can see, this dialogue, the depth of the work does not happen overnight. This is decades and decades of community involvement, stewardship, education, sharing of information. It is the foundation of our strength. It doesn't happen overnight, and we can't do it all in one night. That's why we space the meetings out and we stay the course. We can really begin to talk all night. This is great, just great community education and information. We're going to bring Andrea Stewart Bruton on to share with us some of her insights and also give us an update on the South County NAACP, as they are part of the overall stewardship and have common interests as the alliance in the best interest of the SET Neighborhood Alliance in Delray, and also communities like ours throughout Southern Palm Beach County. Andrea? You're on mute, Andrea. You gotta take yourself on mute.
All right. Thank you, Reggie. I don't know how you bring me on after that, after Chuck with his powerful speaking, but I'm here. Good afternoon, everybody. As Reggie said, I am Andrea Stewart Bruton, aka Lucy. My family came here. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember my mom telling me she was about 3 years old when they came. And my grandfather and his brother, Miss Ernestine Holliday's dad, were contractors in the city. They drove the bus for the folks that went out and worked in the fields back during those times. So I'm deeply rooted. That's my maternal grandmother. My paternal grandparents, grandmother actually ran Greens Inn, the restaurant, which was on Fifth Avenue back in the day. And my maternal grandmother was the mother of the church at Mount Olive Baptist Church. So I am deeply rooted. I can remember back in 1972, my mom bought her first house over in Frog Alley. And that was through an affordable housing program. So there were so many programs back in the day that we don't have now, but I'm deeply rooted. And I said all that to say, been here for a long time. And I remember as a little girl growing up, and we don't talk about this much, Reggie, but our children, this community need to know about how people like Ann Stacy Wright, Angela Burns, my sister, my older brothers went through the riots at Boca Raton High School when integration or desegregation was happening, how Miss Ann Stacy Wright went to jail for throwing a chair through the cafeteria window to save the lives of all of her peers after they were locked in there with a chain lock and tear gas thrown in that cafeteria.
Ryan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that says a lot for our children, and we don't talk about it enough, but that's who we are as a community. We have some strong people and strong roots in this community. And I also want to add that Chuck and Ms. Odom talked about affordable housing and owning housing. This year, I became the chairperson of the Affordable Housing Board, and we've changed many policies, one such as homeowners are being required to have insurance in order to receive city-sponsored repairs on their home. And I'm bringing this up because there are so many revenues where our powers to be could help our citizens or our residents, and they choose not to. And one example was we had one of our leaders going around pushing for space for pickleball. But not one time did you hear the mention about pushing for funding to help our residents or people like my son, who's a college graduate, be able to afford to live here in Delray. Our city and all cities in the state of Florida received the American Rescue Plan grant, and which most cities in Florida use to subsidize affordable housing for their residents. However, our city chose to use that funding to balance the city's budget. Some of the funding to balance the city's budget, and the rest of it went into the budget for next year. That says a lot about how our powers to be, and some of them look like us, care about this community and the citizens of this community. And I'll take it a little bit farther. So it doesn't really just affect the citizens in this community. It affects more than us. It affects this entire community when you talk about affordable housing. So with that being said, Reggie, Thank you all for the work that you're doing. I'm happy to be a part of the coalition, the set. I'm happy to have come up under the auspice of Afrozac Strong, Ms. Libby Wesley, Ms. Janice Hill, Ms. Rosetta Roll, and all of those people that came before us and fought for us to have what we do have. I'll go to and that was it for that's my spiel. And my report as a member of this coalition that I'm very passionate about, and hats off to you all for getting the things that you're getting done. Now to talk about the NAACP, yes, we're back. The NAACP hadn't been a part of our community for more than 20 years now. However, we're back. We're back to start working. We're back to start fighting for the inequalities in our city, not just our city, but the South Palm Beach County District, which goes from Lake Worth down south to Boca Raton. Wednesday night, the 21st, we will have a membership meeting at Pompey Park. It's for an election to choosing national officers. Last week we met to introduce those officers, and this week we'll finally go out and we'll vote for the national officers. But we want everybody to stay engaged and be prepared for our upcoming meetings. We will be meeting, I think it's the first Tuesday of each month, starting in February, for membership meetings, and that the time and the location will be announced. Just stay tuned. And that's all I have for right now. Thank you all for listening and allowing me to be a part.
Andrea Stewart Bruton, thank you for that very detailed report. Again, to the public, as you can see, the depth of our engagement in the coalition, the collective impact that Chuck really mentioned is really alive and well. We just don't talk about it. We have to be engaged. It's not a spectator sport. So we're going to bring on, Chuck mentioned Miss Angela Burns when he was talking about the Blackman's Market and the wonderful event they had last night. I want to bring Miss Burns up to speak towards that event and also give us a little bit of insight on her involvement with the Blackman's Market, anything else she wants to share with us. And then after that, I am going to call my co-chair, Morris Christopher, up, and we want to go ahead and get you all wrapped up so you can continue with your holiday cheer. Ms. Burns, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So, Mr. Cox, what did you want me? I'm sorry, I was having some sound issues.
Yes, how you do? Yes, Ms. Burns. No, we just wanted to get some insight on the Blackman's Market. We know you engaged in that coalition project, and also more importantly, the Peach Umbrella Network, to give us some insight and update on your involvement with those small businesses and that successful event that you all, the special version of Blackman's Market that took place yesterday at St. Matthew.
Okay, thank you. So the Peach Umbrella it provides an electronic space and listing of Black businesses in Delray. It's sort of like it replaces the brick and mortar for the business owners in our community. And as Chuck mentioned during his report, we have some businesses, some full-fledged businesses. We have some hobbyists. We have some crafters. There's a variety of support. There's a variety of products and services that are offered in our district. We currently have about 200 members. When you go on our website, thepeachumbrella.com, and out of the Peach Umbrella, we provide a monthly pop-up shop for our crafters. This provides a physical space for our members. And yesterday we had our holiday edition where we partnered with the Bahamian 12-Day Christmas Committee and also with St. Matthew's Church. And it was a very good success. We had about 25, I think we had 25 vendors, came out with a variety of products and services. It was a great day. Everyone expressed how happy they were. People met friends and family that they haven't seen in a while. So in addition to being contributed to our economics, it's also just contributing to fellowship with our community.
Thank you, Ms. Burns, for that. We had a little slight echo.
Yes.
Going on. Yeah.
I'm getting a big echo. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing those that insight on the Peach Umbrella Network, the Blackman's Market. We also reported earlier that for more information, the public can go to thesetdelray.org to find out more detailed information on the Peach Umbrella Network and also the Blackman's Market. At this time, we're going to have my co-chair, Morris Christopherson, give his comments and some insight about how he sees the future of the SET community and the work that we've done 2022 and what we need to be looking forward to for 2023. Morris?
All right, good evening. Again, my name is Morris Christopherson, and I am the co-chair of the SET Alliance. A couple of things. A lot of stuff has been said tonight, and I just want to piggyback on a couple of things, just elaborate on a couple of things that people have said already. So I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. I want to go back. I've been in South Florida now for 31 years. I came here in 1991, and I lived in Delray originally. And from Delray, I live in three different locations here in Delray. At first, when I came here, my wife and I and my daughter, when we first came here, I stayed with my father-in-law for about 6 months until we found our own place, and where we moved into a property that he actually owned here in Delray. And I want to tell this story because I just want to elaborate a little bit about the long history of passing land down from generation after generation. The lot where where I live at now with my wife and I, we built here, it's a lot where my father-in-law used to own, and they was raised on this lot for the most part. And when we was looking to purchase a home, we bought the land from my wife's siblings, and they all agreed to sell. With the mindset is that we're selling this land to you, that it never be sold. It'd be passed down from generation to generation. And so that's where we're at with that. So I just want to share that. A couple of things. When I first got involved here, I used to ask my brother-in-law all the time about what's going on at these meetings. And he used to get pretty upset because I used to ask these questions all the time. And he said, you got to get engaged. You got to get involved. You got to get engaged. So, and I did that. So back in 2015, after going through, I think it was 2020 needs assessment plan that was downtown Delray, I went to a couple of meetings I was going to, didn't know what they were, but I was just going there just to try to get a feel of what was taking place here in Delray Beach. And so now we're here. And I was warned when I first got engaged is that several people look like me, pulled me aside, said, look, don't get engaged. Don't be hanging around Reggie. Don't be Chuck. They doing this, they doing that, and doing this here. And I said, okay, I like to form my own decision, but those are the voices and those are the faces that I saw. Those are the people that was giving out information, and that's who I got engaged with. And needless to say, that was in 2014, 15 in there, when I actually really came to the table. I was getting enough information, but then, and I'm still here today. And needless to say, it's not we don't always agree. We fight a lot, but we all understand that what we're doing is for the betterment of this community. And I want to touch base on a couple of things Odom said about don't get your ball, don't take your ball and run home. And sometimes you might feel like you want to just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue anymore. I don't want to, but we have to realize at the end of the day, we're doing it for tomorrow. It's not about what we've done for today. It's about our kids, our grandkids. I see Chuck with his grandson is back here. I'd love to see him back. He's a young man that go to meetings, been engaged. And so we want to see that and teach him. One of the things that also Ms. Odom talked about, the 14 homes that the CDC walked the applicants through this process. Now there was a ribbon cutting on that ceremony. And on that ribbon cutting, we had the CDC there, but you won't see the CDC in any photos. You won't see them getting any recognition for taking those 14 people through that process, holding their hands. It was a very difficult process. It's not easy, but they took the initiative and get paid to do this work, but they did it and got 14 applicants out of the 20. No recognition from our city commissioners, no recognition from anyone. But that's not why we do the work. We do it because it's needed. And there's areas where the nonprofits can pick up the slack where the city don't have the capacity sometimes to do. And that's what we do. But we don't get recognition for it because that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it because our community needs it. And then the second thing, Janice Hill, she was talking about understanding the value of your home, understanding the value of your home. And then Chuck touched on an example as well. If you ride down Swinton, if you hear from Delray, you understand that if you live east of Swinton, your home going to be valued more than the house on the west side of Swinton, even though it can be comfortable in size, comfortable in what's inside of those homes, but whatever reason, it valued more over that. And so when that happened, then the person that owned land on the west side of Swinton, now they can pull out more equity. If you got kids want to go off to college, you can pull that out and send your kids to college without having to go out and take a student loan out. So that's why it's important that you maintain your property, not just your property, but our neighbors got to maintain their property. Understanding the value of your land. Ms. Ernestine said all the time, so yeah, you can buy my house, but I'm not selling you my land. So it's the value of the land or whatever. It's nothing. I heard somebody say back an article that when they was trying to take both sides of the set on the north side of Atlantic, one block in on the south side, saying nothing that a bulldozer can't fix. So they can knock that house down. It's the value of your land that these investors wanted. And somebody talked about that, about the investors coming into our neighborhood. Chuck mentioned about one of the roles of the CRA. One of the roles of the CRA to eliminate slum and blight, to make sure that we don't have substandard homes in our community. And one of the reasons that we have had it for so long is that one of the things that we was fighting for the longest. Why is it that you saying we can't get the funding because you don't have homeowners insurance? Well, if you're hiring the proper contractor to do the job, then that contractor must carry general liability in order if there's anything happen on that property, then that they're covered. And so until now, this year, that we constantly fought to have that removed. Now that it's in place now we can go back and double back now for some of these people that were rejected to try to come back now and reapply for some of those funds that's available to them. And so another thing about that, we had one of our CRA commissioners did a post, and you will see this post again in the very near future. You will see it again. She posted that if you're interested in selling your home in the south, in the northwest, and the southwest community, see her because she have investors lined up that's ready to buy now. Now, this person served as a CRA commissioner, and one of her roles is to eliminate slum and blight, to address substandard homes. That's what attracted investors in him from the first start. You notice that she didn't say, if you live on A1A, if you live on east of Swinton, get in contact with her, that she have investors lined up. The investor don't want to buy homes that's been well maintained and upkeep because there's no value in it for them. They want to buy substandard home. So as a commissioner, you're neglecting to do your primary responsibility but you take advantage of that and come and solicit those same people that you should be serving. You're asking them to sell their home. And then now where are they going to go when they sell their home? Now, you're very savvy, educated, and know how the system works. What you should be doing is educating the people on what to not sell their home, and doing your job as a CRA commissioner to make sure you're addressing substandard homes that you are serving to protect, and make sure that it's not substandard. So with that in itself, that person that's running for seat 4, to me, that disqualifies that person. This is my opinion. This is nobody else. This is what I think. If you're serving as a commissioner to address issues, substandard issues, and then they're not being addressed, then you're soliciting them to sell that same property, then you have disqualified yourself to serve as a CRA commissioner or any commissioner, in my opinion. That's my thought on that one. All right. So also, our commission, I heard someone talking about the state of how commission conduct themselves. I saw the last city commissioner meeting on how the city commissioner conducted themselves, how they belittled the staff, the way they talk down to staff. It is time for a change here in Delray. Guys, you 100% know, you understand that I'm not talking to the set, I'm talking to Delray. It is time for a change. And if we have 4 people that's running for election right now, and I done worked with, had a lot of conversation with three of those candidates. And so I know who they are, and I'm telling you the best candidate that I'm going to support. And this is Morris talking. I'm not representing any organization at this point. The only person I've heard talk about these issues that I've been talking about is Angela Burns. And she's fully aware of what's taking place, and she's engaged. We talk about the Blackest markets, and we talk about the Peach Umbrella Network. One of the things is that you need a painter, if you need a plumber, if you need anything related to service, we have a database of mechanics, painters, loan officers, whatever you need, architects, whatever you need, cleaning services. We have multiple cleaning services throughout. We have multiple painters, mechanics. We have pretty much anything you would need. So please go and log into the set and reach out to Angela Burns or anyone that's a part of that. And we have that database where you can pull names from. Also, the water treatment plant. This is my last thing here. Recently, we had our water increase. Now, I know there was a lot of conversation around who's responsible. This happened over 30 years ago. You can't hold the mayor responsible for that. You can't hold none of our commission responsible for that. But you can hold them once you gain the knowledge of that we have an issue, then you have a responsibility to bring it to the citizen. And the mayor didn't do that. And so that's one of the reasons why we, like, when you hear we talked about the mayor, no, the mayor don't have anything to do with what happened 30 years ago, but you do have a responsibility to let the citizen know once you get wind of it, once you learn of any issue, you have that responsibility, and they elected to do that. And then now you increase our water bill. Now our water bill is sky high, and you're increasing water bill on people here in the set. The average income per household is $29,000 a year. And I don't know how anybody can survive off of $29,000 a year. It's almost impossible to happen. And so, but you raise the water on those on those citizens, those taxpayers, on all of us. You raise we're paying more for food. Those same people that's making $29,000 per household, they're paying more for gas. They're paying more for service. And so why in the heck would a educated, forward-thinking commission raise the water to pay for our plants? And you have a tourist destination here in the city of Delray Beach. We can put in a tax that can sunset after we raise X amount of dollars to address that and stop putting the heavy burden on the citizen here that can't afford it. And so we got to do something. And there's nobody talking about that. And there's nobody out here running for office is talking about it other than Commissioner Burns that I've heard say that. And so with that being said, I 100% support her. And I'm asking you all to join with me and support Commissioner Burns, soon to be Commissioner Burns, and where we can address some of this and we don't have people out using the political power to address their own financial pockets. And another thing, what I realized too, one of the reasons some of those same people was telling me don't hang around Reggie and Chuck and don't work with them was telling me because those are the people that's trying to pad their pockets. How ironic and how crazy is that? One of those individuals that told me that right now is strictly trying to pad their pocket. You're looking to gain money by not doing what you're appointed to do, by addressing substandard homes in the neighborhood that you're supposed to be serving, but you want to buy those homes where you can make 3% off the seller, 3% off the buyer. Something is wrong with that. And Reggie, I yield my time back, and I appreciate it, this opportunity to address this.
Wow. Thank you, co-chair. Here again, we can go over this all night, and it's just a plethora of information. That's why we do what we do. I can't stress it enough. We want everybody to remember www.thesetdelray.org for different information, for additional information. We want you to come into this work. People will tell you that this is a secret society, this is not inclusive. That's not true. We have bright yellow shirts to say we are very inclusive. The elders table meets every Thursday at Community Primitive Baptist, 9 a.m. every Thursday. The table is open to all. Don't let anyone tell you that the table is not open. It is simply not true. You have seen tonight dialogue from our community treasurers and our seniors, all the way to our young folk, as Montre Bennett and Kenya Madison. I mean, the generational spread of community advocacy and input is definitely here. To that end, Sean, I would like for you to play a video that I believe that I like to play it from time to time that reminds us of our community strength and where it really matters around the process. Sean, can you turn the roll, please?
Absolutely.
This is what you all have been able to accomplish. We encourage everyone to continue to vote and advocate for quality education, quality attainable housing in our community, access to business capital in our community, a community that has excellent curb appeal and infrastructure that can work, a healthy infrastructure that can work for everybody. I want to take liberty to close the meeting tonight with one more little video that really shows the power of an educational facility that was built roughly 20 years ago. It's unique in Palm Beach County because you can have actually babies go to this school, and it goes all the way through seniors. It's a unique community school in Palm Beach County. We call it Village Academy. And I want to give you all a dose of Tiger pride, and also all of a dose that no one is coming to save us. And we have to put our money and our interest where our mouth is to build our community from within. And I want to give you an example of my personal interest in reclaiming our village. Let it roll, Sean.
Red, just heads up. When the video is playing, if there's audio, we can't really hear you.
Gotcha.
And then after that, Morris needs another 15 seconds of your time. So without
Morris, you
further
want to go
ado,
ahead and go now?
Hey, guys, so really quick, one of the things I did not mention about voting, I hear a lot of people saying your vote don't count. Your vote actually does count. You got to make this. You got to make sure you cast your vote. The people that's making a decision on your behalf, you should have a voice in it. And the way you make your voice heard by casting your vote. So you got to vote until we get our hands around this, until we get it running the way it should be running here in the city of Delray Beach. So please get out and vote in March.
Thank you, Morris. And just to add, the narrative that I was speaking towards with the video, it did show that as far as the set is concerned, we are not a divided community. The margins that we had on the last election basically is proof that the narrative that we believe in is the set transformation plan, and not other false narratives about what's best for our community. If those margins that we had in the set was across Delray, it would have been a complete washout with the candidates that this community supported in the last election. So I like to show that video to remind us of our collective impact and our collective power. To that end, Sean, I want you to roll this last video, and that I entitled, "No One Is Coming to Save Us But Us." Let it roll, Sean, and then we'll close out. Thank you, Sean. So I wanted to share that with everyone. We are proud of all our children and what they can accomplish. They are truly the future. I want to take liberty to go ahead and bring this external meeting to a close. I want to thank Sean Hall for his technical assistance with the Set Neighborhood Alliance over the years. Sean, we thank you greatly. I want to thank all the block captains and the presidents, Gateway Neighborhood Association President Jerome Weatherspoon and Miss Sandra Weatherspoon. With special thanks, Elders Table at the Community Primitive Baptist Church. And we are going to wish everyone, as we close out, we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and a happy holiday season. Stay safe. We'll be back at our external meeting, first one in February, internal in January. As Morris said, we're moving into a election cycle for this March. Very important election is coming up. The Alliance will stay tuned. As you know, it's vital that we get representation, just like Senator Warnock stated. How can you represent me if you don't know me? How can you represent me if you don't even walk with me? And so we want candidates, the ideal candidates is candidates who stay engaged, that do not dictate to us, but understand their assignment is to represent us and represent the best interests of the people and not dictate to the people. We have a cancer in the city of Delray Beach on the commission that for some reason they think they need to dictate, and they think that they need to operate and operationalize the city of Delray Beach, when that's in fact is the city manager's job to run operations. And the city commission's job is to produce policy. And that policy comes from the comprehensive plans, it comes from the community plans, it comes from the executive staff that makes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're the subject matter experts, not the commission. They're just our representatives. And we want to be able to impact on how we begin to change that culture in the future, that it may garner us a better way, a better path towards being a part of the newfound wealth in the set and also other neighborhoods throughout Delray Beach. With that said, good night, farewell, till we meet again. Thank you.